Door.
Well, it kind of looks like that stairwell. It looks like if you open the door, like an alarm's gonna go off.
Oh,
It
yeah.
looks like a fire exit out there.
There should be a window in it, so you can.
Their false stand
goes off.
Yep, doing stairs.
This is definitely a unique building to be in, so
So
we'll
what,
try and figure out how to make it work.
so they just built this for overflow, or what do they build this for? Is there any
We
name
used to
that's
have
specific?
something called the General Classroom Building, which is where Plunkett Park is, and that was just a big building that anybody could use. And they said we were out of classroom space, and so when they tore that down, because it was full of asbestos and it was a horrible building, they built, I mean, part of it was that we ran out of classroom space, but we don't really need that many classrooms anymore, because so many of our courses have gone online that there isn't a huge demand for classroom space. So I'm not really sure what the purpose of building this building was, other than they wanted to build a building. So this is integrated marketing communication. It looks like I'm in the right place. I recognize some of your faces, so that's a good thing. Or a bad thing for you, since you're gonna have to suffer through me for another semester. Mr. Young has had to suffer through me before, and had to suffer through me in Orlando last year at ICSC. So if you are a new Aguirre student, welcome. For those of you who are returning into my class, I apologize that you're going to have to submit to the torture again, but we'll try to make it as pleasant as we possibly can. So I want you to think about your 3 greatest strengths. I want you to take out a piece of paper and write your full name, first and last, on a piece of paper, and list in 3 well-developed sentences, complete sentences, your 3 greatest strengths. List your 3 greatest strengths. There is one caveat to this as you start to think about this. I do not want you to tell me I am a hard worker. And the reason I don't want you to tell me you're a hard worker is because that's a lie. You're probably not a hard worker. And that's okay, because in the modern era, you don't want to work hard, you want to work smart. So I'll make what's called an argument ad absurdum here, in that I'm going to take it to its logical extreme and show you why working hard is not necessarily a virtue. If you went back in time to the founding of Oklahoma, we were settled, this part of Oklahoma, in the land run of 1889. In one day on April 22nd, the land office was in Guthrie, Oklahoma, my hometown. And people came here because there was free land. And at that point in time, how did they work the land? Well, they got a homestead with so many acres, and you worked it with horses or mules and a plow. That was hard work. I would submit to you that if you're doing that today, if you're out in Logan County where I live, working your 40 acres with a mule or a team of 2 horses, you may be working hard, but you're an idiot, because you're going to starve to death. That's not the way we farm anymore. You're not going to make any money at it, because the way we farm involves huge pieces of machinery that have taken a lot of the work out of it. So we've figured out ways to work a lot smarter, even in traditionally labor-intensive exercises like farming. And so don't tell me that you work hard. It's probably not true for most of you. We know it's not true for most millennials. And even if it is, it's not necessarily a virtue.
Hey, you guys are funny. You could sell it like, you know, the organic grass-fed stuff. If you do it. Like you sell.
That's cuckoo talk. Well, what kind of communist stuff are you trying to spin here? No, I mean, there are people who are doing this organic farming and micro farming and selling their goods and things like that. Most of you don't want to live off of what they're going to pay. So come up with your 3 greatest strengths. I'll give you about 5 minutes to do that. I'll stop the camera, and then I'll give you the second part of the exercise. All right, so as you're finishing up here, what I want you to do is I want you to get into teams. I want to have 3 teams. So about 5 or 6 people in a team in here. So I want to have 3 teams. Since there's 15 people enrolled, 5 would be obviously the optimum number, because if you multiply 5 times 3, you come up with 15. So 5 would be the optimum number. I want you to, based on your strengths, develop a team identity. This will be your team brand name. Since we're marketers, we're going to call these by marketing terms. Your brand identity for your team. So develop one, a team name, i.e. brand. Justify why you chose your team identity based on your strengths. Justify the name. And then second, consider this question. Why is this course not titled advertising? And justify that with at least 3 substantive responses. So I'll give you a clue. This course used to be called
Advertising.
advertising. It's no longer called advertising. So why is it not called advertising? Justify your answer with 3 substantive responses. I will give you about 15 to 20 minutes to do that in your groups, to come up with a team name, justify your answer, and then we're going to talk about those. There is a misprint in the syllabus. This is the first mistake I have ever made in my entire life. So I'm going to go try and fix the syllabus quickly and reprint it so that I can give it to you before the end of class. So I'll give you some time to do that. I'm going to run and go do the syllabus again. You can mark this day in your calendars as a day that it will be forever remembered in history as the day Granny Gary was actually wrong or made a mistake about one thing.
So if we get like 10 points.
All right, so I have to redo the camera. I see we've signed the roll sheet. So what I want you to do is I want you to get up and sell your team. We'll start over here, then here, and then here. Introduce the members of your team. Please don't tell me your name is just Chris. You're not Madonna or Cher. You know, like Chris Young. You listen, talk. Okay. Not paying attention. People have this tendency to think that, like, my name's Mike. Mike what? Like they're 1,000 Mikes, right? So give your full name, introduce your team, how you came up with your team name, and then why is this course not called advertising? So we'll start, I set that table right there. So you guys get to go.
So we're going with British strength. Oh.
I'm like, I have
So familiar. Probably not. I don't know if it's that or I don't know. So we all go.
All right.
Like one person. will
Let's
speak.
start with your team name.
Okay. I'm Rosie Wynn.
I'm Anandila Torin.
And I'm Will Stelzman, and our teammate is, or our team name is the A team, because we're always striving for A's.
Striving keyword.
I'll start off with our strengths, my strengths. I have many strengths. I'd like to say my 3 best are I'm good at talking to people that I don't know. I'm very friendly and don't really see anyone as a stranger. I'm good at working with others as a team, and I'm also good at working under pressure. I don't crack easily, so those are my strengths.
Okay, well, one of my strengths is that I'm a great listener. I like to consider I have good communication skills, and I fail a lot with everything, but I like to stay positive.
Okay, and my 3 greatest strengths, I think so, is that I also listen well, and I can manage crises, and also that I can speak 2 languages.
Okay, very good. It's interesting.
So with the why is this course not titled advertising, you wrote some
Well, whenever I think of advertisement, I think of social media, newspapers, commercials, and I think marketing is more of the background, such as research. Like, you want to put a business, okay, we have to do a research on what's the perfect place for that business. You're not going to put a liquor store next to an elementary school. You know? I mean, I don't think that's legal anyway. That's just like
In some
one-
states it is.
Yeah.
It's state by state.
Amazing, you're a parent, you think it's a good
Okay,
idea.
well, that's the idea, just looking for doing all the research, and then advertising is kind of, not the easy part, but, yeah, just social media and all those things.
So when you think of
And then-
advertising, you think of you think of social media.
I think of ways to promote your product.
Okay.
So now that, yes, now when I think of promoting a product, I think about social media, in my opinion. Whenever.
But you think of advertising as social media.
Yeah,
Like, if you
I don't know
if
if
you
it's
went
not-
back in time and you
Social
said the
media is
word
used for
advertising, what would be the first thing that came to people's mind? If you went back to, say,
TV.
the 1970s.
Billboards, news
Yeah.
newspapers,
yeah.
You think- Okay, all right,
articles on those billboards and newspapers.
okay.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out this difference because it's honestly pretty similar to me, marketing and advertisement, but I'm not for sure. I guess this is why I'm here.
Okay, all right. What were your other reasons?
Another one was, we cover more than advertising in this class. We cover the whole aspect of marketing. We're not just gonna talk about, what you need to say to people, but we're gonna need to talk about how you say it, how the approach is. There's a lot of different stuff that goes into marketing that you use in advertising, but I think marketing is a lot more broad.
Okay. How is marketing more broad?
Marketing, you would use things like location, you use the people you're marketing to, things like that. You know, advertising, if you think about advertising and say social media, a lot of advertisements are going out to a whole bunch of people. And some are not going to be
Especially young people.
interested in it at all. Others might see it and it might catch their attention. Marketing is figuring out what people to target, in my opinion.
Okay.
Our third answer, I would say, was probably fairly similar. I think advertising is the offset of marketing. It's like another portion. I think that's also why we have a difference between like marketing professional selling and just regular marketing.
Okay, so if you ask most people that are not marketers, what is marketing, most of them say advertising.
Yeah.
Most of them think it's just advertising.
Mhm.
That's what they get. But it is more than that, so I think I think you're on the right track there. But is social media marketing, you said social media marketing, you think of advertising as social media marketing. Is there other ways, or not, that's not good English. Are there other ways to
Yes.
use social media besides just advertising?
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
How do you use it?
Newspapers, even like cards, like personal cards with your information, or even going to a business, giving them a piece of paper of your business and telling them, hey, this is my product. If you're interested, give me a call.
Okay.
Or you
And
mean
I don't,
purely
if
social
I'm,
media?
if I'm being completely honest, I have no idea what goes on in advertisement. It's not, I don't know, I just.
Because you don't pay attention to it
Right.
at all.
Maybe I do, I don't know why I think it's social media. That's what I used to look
That's
up.
where the majority of.
But
I guess-
I don't know if it's, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know.
No, there's no right or wrong answer to this. I'm just trying to figure out what your
Yeah.
argument is.
Maybe because I see a lot of businesses doing Instagram
Mhm.
accounts, and everybody just tries to follow everyone, and that's how you spread the word, in
Okay.
my opinion.
I'm not sure that, there are ads in social media. There are definitely, within Facebook, there are targeted ads to
Right.
people. But companies use Facebook for more than just advertising.
Well, you can
Oh, yeah,
buy the
marketing
data.
research, data mining, all
Right.
that stuff.
Well, and even that, they use it for even more than that. They allow their consumer to connect and communicate in a two-way flow with them through social media.
It's like
So-
almost another like HR or something. It's like-
Yeah.
So you're engaging, advertising is generally thought of as a one-way flow of communication. And social media allows for a two-way, by its very nature. I mean, there are ads in social media. But I think that most companies, the advertising part of social media is less important now than probably the ability to engage in value co-creation with their customer and allow the customer to, advertising is simply about developing a message, sending it out, and hoping people respond to it. I mean, it's more than that, but social media is more dynamic. All right, so when I think, and maybe this is a product of my age, and there's no wrong answer here. If you had said to me when I was 13 years old, what is marketing, I probably would have said advertising, and the kind of advertising that would have been the top of my mind would have been television. Because I grew up in a world where there was, where television was the dominant medium, right? If you'd asked my grandparents, they would have said probably newspaper, because they read the newspaper.
Not radio.
I don't know, they were readers, so I guess they would have thought maybe radio, but I think they probably would have said newspaper. My mother would have said newspaper, radio, because she grew up sort of with all three.
Yeah.
So I think that we're on the right track here. I think one of the things we have to recognize is with social media that it is more than just a one-way flow of communication.
Well, it's like Wendy's. Like Wendy, if you remember a Wendy's commercial or ad on Facebook, you don't, but they communicate on Twitter, like the two-way, like you were saying.
Right.
Them getting
Run that
in
many
Twitter
ads.
fights is probably one of
It's
their
pretty
best, some of their
funny.
best advertisements. But also real quick, like the H&M scandal with the kids wearing the t-shirts that were kind of like racist, and the Dove commercials that were kind of racist. With a billboard, like it wouldn't have been immediate backlash like back then. They didn't have like social media start posting it for it to go viral. I think with social media, like a lot of things that our generation has, like instant gratification, it's also instant. I'm trying to think of the
Like
next
immediate
word.
feedback.
Immediate feedback, exactly. And so you get immediate feedback with social media, and I don't think you get that with like a billboard or a TV.
No, I mean, that historically in the past, it was very hard to measure return on your investment.
Now you can
You
track
could
the
do it in
views.
direct,
My
you can.
second job, I do targeted Facebook ads for certain people, and I could see who views it.
Not only can you see who views it, but you can tell who actually purchases.
Clicks on it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you
Right.
can see who clicks on it. You can see who like interacts with your post, and who clicks on your profile
That's
from
pretty
the
crazy.
post.
I haven't really thought about that, but it's kind of crazy.
Well, like even at I used to work at a marketing firm, and we were able to geo-target a location and not see who was at that event, but also see who that event was 3 months ago,
Right.
and see who was there, how to target, what they purchased, and everything they did.
What is it called? Geofencing.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And it's basic because they can tell like how long you were in that area, how long you stayed there. So a lot of new places, like I can remember there's a couple different restaurants that are trying to make their places more homey, and they want you to stay there longer, and they can track that by your phone right there. So if you have like an app open, which even if you turn off your location, like on your phone, if you're using the app, they can still see when you're there.
Right, absolutely.
And like,
It
is a huge invasion of privacy, but think about like a lot of the services you use for free, like Facebook, you use for free, Google, you use for free. You know how you pay for that? Your data.
Right.
And it makes marketing more effective.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So they
We
sell
now-
stuff better to you.
Yeah, it's now called micro-targeting, where we can target, and what we see is that we see people using it in politics. For example, the Russians were able to micro-target using social media, but they weren't using advertising. What were they using?
Like memes and stuff.
Well, and they were using
Facebook
bots to
Yeah.
actually retweet and stuff like that. Bots and then trolls. What's the difference between a bot and a troll?
Isn't the troll like a real
Trolls are the
person?
real person.
Yeah, trolls are real people. They're actually somewhere,
And their accounts are
and
extremely
they're actually posting
Yeah.
in response to, they set up fake accounts. And you think that maybe it's Joe Smith and it's Natalia Veselnitskaya, we should all know this name by now, right? Sitting there at a computer in Russia, and we think it's maybe somebody who's actually, in America, and it's not. What is a bot then?
It's just it's like a computer, like an algorithm that's retweeting stuff that they're.
Yeah, it's a program that
It's a
basically
telemark,
runs.
like an automated call.
So it just basically, runs, and when people respond, then it retweets or rebroadcasts
Which,
and stuff
if
like
you're ever on Twitter and you get into if you creep into the comments on really popular posts, like in any of Donald Trump's tweets and stuff, you could see bots, and
Oh, yeah,
there was one
so-
time, I was dying laughing. So they used the profile picture of the African-American woman on High School Musical, and it was her profile picture, like her high school picture on High School Musical was the profile picture, and they had a little profile based on her, and she was like, oh, African-Americans for Trump, and it was like spelt wrong, there's no grammar, and then you see her page, and it was like created 24 hours ago, and there's already thousands of tweets.
Well,
So
but
it was
the President
crazy.
of the United States doesn't spell anything correctly.
But this was obviously
He keeps saying special counsel, COUNCIL, what's wrong with that?
What is it, like Fifi or whatever he came up with that, made up that word?
Confi-
No, it's Go Fifi. Go Fifi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's wrong with spelling special counsel, COUNCIL? What is a COUNCIL, what is that? That would be like city council. How is council as in attorney spelled?
CO.
And SEO.
It's
Yeah,
SEO.
Yeah, it's SEO. I was sitting here trying to do that in my head.
Yeah, I know. I had to write it out because I'm not a good
Right.
Word marketing.
So,
Yeah.
It's like a math question, yeah.
Well, if it was on paper, if it was on paper, it'd be itself, like, I'll spell it.
We all like-
spelling is important, people. It's kind of important.
But
All
spell
right.
check and autocorrect make it
You probably
so
turns it
much
off.
easier.
Which means he probably has an Android because obviously he's not picking up on half of his crap.
Well, he keeps spelling, see, he keeps, and the news media keeps pointing out to him that he's spelling it wrong. And he continues to spell
It's
it.
fake news.
Wrong.
It's fake
That's his
news.
choice.
I mean, he did end the
That way
LeBron
people
MJ
can talk
debate,
about
so, I mean, he did do that.
You what?
He ended the LeBron MJ debate.
Okay.
He's a MJ guy, so.
All right. Okay, so the next group. Very good.
Yeah,
You guys are safe for now.
I don't like how it shakes.
It shakes.
You don't?
I don't like how it shakes. Did you not feel that your chair?
You wanna start? Oh, so, we're Team Rocky. First, I'm gonna introduce yourself. This is Amy Cohn. We have Chris Young, Gabe DeGroot, and then Jennifer Reyes, and I'm John Stein. We're Team Rocky because our main strengths together were working with the team, communication, overcoming diversity, what was it? Being creative and working under pressure as well too. So that's Team Rocky. Why is this class not called advertising? Well, we kind of touched on it before. Advertising is a way of communication, but we need to learn all forms of communications, not just an ads. Ads are changing as well too, like we talked about. They're Facebook, they're printed, they're yellow pages, SEM. I mean, there's so many different ways we can go at this. There's not a solid traditional way of studying it. And communication, integrated marketing communications is a lot more than just ads. It's selling, it's processing, it's strategy, it's how to market your brand and then go out to clients and sell your company or product or service.
And also, touching on that, when it comes to this class, especially since it's being taught to people our age and millennials, I believe in your intro to marketing class or your principles class, you even said that millennials are more weary of marketing and advertising. So with that being said, it's taking us a different route and showing us part of it, but showing how to appeal to other millennials as well.
Okay, I think that's right. I think that it is, I mean, one of the things that we know is that you are an enormously diverse generation, much more diverse than any other generation. And you are more skeptical of advertising than other, because you have so much information at your fingertips and you're able to just, if you don't believe something and you naturally don't, you're skeptical, you can Google it almost instantly. Now, how do you effectively manage that ability to reach the consumer in an age in which they have so much power of information at their very fingertips? That is really, really critical. Why is it called integrated though?
I think it's integrating your target market. So I think like the best way that companies are doing it is doing influencers, like social media influencers. So they're not really doing an ad, it's more of a sponsorship. So they're integrating themselves into that target market by saying, hey, Joe Smith really likes these axes to chop down a fence or a tree. Everyone needs to buy this brand of axe because it's the best, it's the coolest looking, it easily chops down this tree.
I think next to integrating marketing targets, it's also integrating the different forms of marketing that we have. And that includes like direct selling, promotions, public relations, even sponsorships.
Okay. And marketing is the, oh my God, some of you are fail, you've had my class, you remember this. Failure, didn't you have my principal's class, Mr. Young?
I did.
Promotional
Yeah.
things?
Fail, big fail, right there. When I say marketing is, this should come
The
tripping
backbone
off
is
your,
on.
no. No. Marketing is the only fully integrated function of the firm, right? It's the only fully integrated function of the
I didn't
firm.
think about it.
This should come tripping
That's like,
off.
you should see the marketing research definition, it's like a book.
So, all right, very good, you guys are safe. Although barely safe since you didn't get the integrated.
I was just gonna tell you the 4 Ps, I don't know.
That's the first thing I thought of.
That's what I thought of.
Okay. Hello, we are Prestige 2.0, or Prestige Worldwide 2.0. And this is Cole Toubre, and this is Nick Ted Gare, okay, and then this is Joy Chong, Hallie Vaughn, and Tristan Stonestreet. And then I'm Marcia Clemens. Okay, and so I guess we'll go down the list and list our individual strengths, because that's what I thought when we first did
That's fine.
instructions. Okay.
This
So-
presentation is up to you.
Okay.
You
All right.
can watch it and fix the flaws
Actually, do you want to
later.
start that way so later?
Okay, so my strengths, I'm a good listener, I'm creative, and I believe I work well with others.
Okay, so my main strength right now is I'm really determined and I'm really good at adapting. I had brain surgery 4 months ago and I'm back in school. I'm a really good listener and I believe in working hard, so I'm working towards my degree.
All right, very good.
For me, my 3 strengths are, I think I'm a fast learner. My second one is,
Okay, move on. Okay. I can be fiercely determined. It's also stubborn if you didn't. I'm a goal maker and a goal achiever, so that's that I'm determined. I believe I'm pretty social. I'm one of 6 kids, so you're kind of forced to be social. And I think I'm really resourceful. Both my parents were like lower middle class with no college degrees, so I kind of like, blue collar households, so you kind of learn how to make things work.
I put that, once I put my mind on something, like set my mind to a goal, I won't stop until we reach that goal. Then the other thing that I like is, I like to work in like a team environment. I think the more ideas that you can put on a subject, you can kind of build around it and allows you to, kind of come to like one common place and have a little bit more ideas on it.
So I like to be organized with my time and also be creative and come up with ideas.
Okay. All right, so I have a question about your name. You seem a little confused on the name itself. Your first one was it's Prestige, then it was Prestige Global, and now it's Prestige.
And I'll explain that in the definition. I didn't explain the definition first.
So so you're already admitting.
Let's just do.
You're admitting that Prestige
Press-
1
press-
was a
press-
failure, right?
No, Prestige 1 was
Failure
absolutely a
loss.
success.
Yes, it was successful.
Okay.
Last spring, okay. But
Okay.
now we're Prestige Worldwide.
Worldwide.
2.0.
Okay, I got
And
it.
I'm about to, I'm about to get
Worldwide.
to the worldwide part.
Okay.
Okay, so, why are we called Prestige Worldwide 2.0? Number one is because like a third of our group was in Prestige 1.0, like last spring. But I think our group of 6 comes together with a diverse perspective on marketing. Therefore, we make an elite unit designed for success.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good.
So the next question, which is why is this course not titled advertising? We looked up the actual course description. I'm going to repeat that in case you
Oh
didn't know.
my gosh, what a novel idea. Look at the course description.
Yeah, I will find your flaw. This
course builds a rigorous base of consumer psychology, then proceeds to treat advertising, reseller stimulation, personal selling, and other communication tools as a part of the overall promotional mix. The course develops fundamental considerations as a background and then focuses on managerial issues and problems. Advertising does not focus on managerial issues and problems. So that's why this is integrated marketing mix, because you get a managerial aspect and then you get the advertising aspect.
Okay, I think that's a good observation, is that advertising, you used to hire a manager, and they didn't focus on managerial issues necessarily. It was just about developing a pitch. You know, it might be considered what we call the ADA model, the awareness, interest, desire, action sort of thing. And it was that one-way flow of communication. And so, yeah, I think that's a really plangent observation to make in why it's not titled advertising. Of course, the text is titled what? Advertising and Promotion and Integrated Perspective. I think that they should retitle it Integrated Marketing Communication, you know, perspective on advertising and promotion or something like that. I would flip it, but
Or
maybe
those,
it's too long.
Earlier when I mentioned those ads that went horribly wrong, I think that's more the managerial aspect on focusing on how to manage problems that arise out of your own mix. So if your own strategy was extremely faulty, you have to have a manager in place to fix that and reverse it and reverse public opinion back.
Yeah, actually, one of my classes last semester, I did a project over the H&M scandal.
Yep.
And so it was kind of like, had to do with that same type of deal. You need to like set up more factors before you're releasing an advertisement. So you're like she was saying, deal with a little bit more of the managerial side and have more steps, and just so you don't run into problems like that.
Well, I think we had that same class, business communications.
Oh, yeah,
And I think I did the beauty scandal where they kind of did this weird gif where the girl like washes her face and she's originally black and then she turns into white after she's done washing her face. So it's kind of like obviously like a problem out of that. But the thing is that I think if Dove was as diverse as they said they would, somebody in management, if they had a diverse management force like they said they did, they would have seen a problem with that. And I don't think that's why when you get the fact that they kind of lied about who they're testing it on. They're probably testing it on the majority white people, because I think anybody of color, honestly, I think anybody our age would have seen that.
All right, so you focus on like controversy. One of the things you're talking about is controversies in advertising. Is it possible to come up with a totally non-controversial ad?
No, no, somebody's gonna have a problem with it regardless. It doesn't matter what kind of ad.
Yeah, one of my friends just opened up a CBD shop, and you know, like, you would think just for, you know, he like went through the whole Instagram and did some of his advertisement through there where it'll like pop up as like a sponsored ad on there. So you're paying Instagram initially to get views, and you know, like you would think, you're like, oh, it's just a CBD shop, nobody's gonna have a problem with that. But then there's also people that have opinions on marijuana and it becoming legal, and so then they have a problem with it, and so I think it's kind of hard to make or produce an advertisement or market something to where somebody doesn't have a problem with it. I think you could very easily go through it and pinpoint, you know, just depending on who the person is that's doing it.
And if it's so bland and vanilla,
yeah,
then nobody
then it's not really reaching anyone.
Right.
But there are some brands that do well because they're so controversial, and that's
Yeah.
why people like them. But then if you try really hard not to offend anybody, like you said, it's vanilla.
It doesn't stand out, yeah.
So if you don't stand up for what you believe in, that's why people have mission statements, and that's why you have, you know, when you start a business, you have what you believe in, and people just either get it or they don't. So.
I was gonna say, even Chick-fil-A has haters, so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Remember that
That's legit.
Chick-fil-A.
when they did the gay pride, like when
Yeah.
they like hated the gay pride that happened in Texas, and people still eat there just because it's too good.
Yeah.
It's too good.
And it's their pleasure, you know.
Oh, it is their pleasure.
well, I mean, you know, lots of companies have had these kinds of issues. It's amazing. That's one of the biggest areas of transformation that I've seen in 10 years. And a lot of it has been generated in a book called Consumer Republic. Elizabeth Cohen, who's historian, details the power that historic minorities have used to exercise through the marketplace to influence social change. One of the things that we have seen in this changing dynamic in this marketplace is that the LGBTQ community has really emerged as a very dominant power force because businesses started to recognize it. It started with businesses like the liquor industry that recognize that these people, they don't have kids for the most part. They have high, on average, by and large, on the whole, they have high income earning potential because most of them are involved in advanced degrees or higher creative art forms and things like that. And they are a power force to be reckoned with. And so you've had companies historically that were anti sort of homosexual that have had to come around. Budweiser was one of the first liquor companies to start advertising at gay pride parades. Coors, which was family owned and a Christian company, refused to do it until they realized that they were missing out on literally millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of sales.
Didn't Budweiser start with Harvey Milk?
Uh,
Was I right on that time?
I don't know if they did that, but they were one of the first to sponsor and participate in gay pride parades in terms of the liquor community. Cracker Barrel was pretty homophobic for a long period of time, and recognized that that was not going to be a good necessarily thing for their market. So, all right, very good. If you will put your names on those and give them to me in groups, that way I can put you into a group on D2L. I can create groups on D2L. I gave you your syllabi. Hopefully there are no mistakes in that. And on Thursday, we'll talk about integrated marketing communication within the frame of the marketing discipline.